here. We are in Athens, Greece, and we're outside of the Parliament here in the center square of the city. We have a few days here, awesome footage. We got some sandals made, handmade by a very popular man who's made many famous people's sandals. Everyone from John Lennon to
I'm saying it.
What was it?
Sarah Jessica Parker.
What was the female lady? Spartan or
Sophia Loren.
Oh yeah, Sophia Loren. Anyways, I'm super stoked to be here. As you know, there's all kinds of great history in Greece. Greek mythology. We're doing a tour tomorrow. We're going to go to all the major historical sites. Me being in the Coast Guard and sailing a lot, naturally I'm drawn to anything nautical. So hopefully we'll get some great footage. We're also going to Santorini. We were planning to take a ferry there, but there's been a strike. I don't know if you guys have been watching the news of what's been going on with Greece really in the past 4 or 5 years. They've hit some hard times, and so that's kind of what led to this strike right now. So yeah, so now we'll probably have to fly to Santorini, which is fine. We'll get there, it'll be beautiful. So yeah, look forward to sharing that with you guys.
Lately forgiven, gave my name to all of them. And the worst of it all is that I can't keep my heart straight. And the worst of it all is that I can't keep my heart straight.
YouTube Nation, Coast Guard Chris here, and I have my special guest, Chief Warrant Officer Bouasym. And basically, I just kind of want to get her perspective on kind of a quick summary of her career, how she went from enlisted to warrant officer, the program that got her there, and then maybe just her overall idea of the Coast Guard, and then also maybe some advice for people looking to join, and also specifically women looking to join. So she was my first class on the Jarvis. So she was one of my supervisors, and so when I knew her, she was ET1 Bouasym. Now she's Chief Warrant Officer. We haven't seen each other in a while, but it just so happened we were both in Greece. And yeah, so it's a small world. But yeah, so now I'll let you take it. Just if you could just kind of give us a brief summary of like your career in the Coast Guard.
Yeah, sure. So I joined at 17 with my parents' permission, because that's possible in the Coast Guard or any branch of the military. And
yeah, that's good to know. I forgot about that. Yeah. So if you're 17 and you want to join, as long as you get your parents' permission, you just got to get their signature.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's good to know.
And I came in as an E2, since if you're, I think, above the 50th percentile in your high school, if you graduate above that, you get automatically E2 pay grade. I made E5 when I was 19. Wait. So E2, I went straight to A school. It was guaranteed, and right now I think there might be a bonus for ETs.
Oh, they brought that back?
They brought it back because it's critical. So
yeah.
Then signed up for that. I made E5 when I was 19, E6 when I was 23, E7 when I was 26, and then I turned 28 and made Chief Warrant Officer. And to do all that, you study for the service-wide as best as you can, and then once you make E6, you can join this education program that takes you through 2 years of college, You don't need a degree to start it. You just need to show dedication to school, give proof that you can pass a class in college, and then sign up. So I went to school for 2 years in Maui at the University of Hawaii, signed up to make Chief Warrant Officer, and I just made it as an alternate.
And not only that, you got to go, while you're going to school in Maui, you were getting paid as a first class in the Coast Guard, right?
So while I was a first class, I still got my BAH, my basic pay, my Oconus COLA, because I went to school in Hawaii. I was like, it was just like being in the military, but you were going to school as your job.
And that had nothing to do with like the GI Bill. So like if you got out, you would still have the full GI Bill.
Right.
If you're out of your school.
It took nothing from your GI Bill. It was not considered tuition assistance. So you still had the full advantage of all those benefits.
Now, I just want to say that Bouasym, personally, I think is the exception. So as far as like, you know, she ranked up really quick. She's super smart. But she took advantage of every opportunity that the Coast Guard gave her. And then, so how has it been, you know, especially, so you joined at 17, you're female, you're obviously all of a sudden surrounded by a bunch of men and stuff. Like, how is that for you, like, in the transition, and just overall, like, how's it been as a woman, and what kind of advice can you give women looking to join the Coast Guard?
As strong as you may need to appear, it's okay to admit, and I will admit myself, that it has been a challenge, because you're outnumbered by whether you're a female or minority, and you have to be adaptable. And sometimes people call it a double standard, but that's you know that coming in because you volunteered to do this, and it's also opened up so many opportunities. So I mean, it's give and take. So you got to sacrifice some things, but in the end, it's worth what you need to show for yourself. So.
Okay, and then do you have any advice for like people looking to join right now? So I know that like they have a lot of questions about different rates and stuff, and you know, obviously we're biased because we were both ETs, and I think you have to score have the highest scores to get to even do ET, right?
Right.
An ET in the Coast Guard.
Pretty high up there, yeah.
I get a lot of people, you know, another thing, so I get a lot of questions about law enforcement stuff. People see the Coast Guard, they associate LE type training and stuff. Now, you were in Bahrain.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you could talk a little bit about that, because I know a lot of people ask questions about those kind of units.
So, Bahrain was interesting because as an ET, I was independent duty, so I also got to do the job of a BM, an OS. We got to do we were boarding team members, so we got to do a few compliant and non-compliant boardings. You get to learn a lot of things. It's not just the ET world, so I enjoyed that aspect because you got to do and see a lot more than what the typical ET does on the state side.
Yeah, you know, we often get asked a lot of times, like, oh, does the Coast Guard get sent overseas, like the Middle East and stuff? And I think, you know, when people ask that, I automatically think Bahrain. And then my understanding is the reason why you have the Coast Guard presence in Bahrain, I was always told this, and maybe you can confirm it or deny it, that if the Coast Guard, because we're not part of the Department of Defense, we're the Department of Homeland Security, we're seen as more of a law enforcement type entity. So us boarding a foreign vessel isn't seen as an act of war, whereas someone from the Navy or something were to do it, it would be considered an act of war. So they'd work alongside the Navy to basically board vessels, and so the Coast Guard was kind of the middleman between the foreign vessels and the Navy. Kind of, is that right to say, or?
That's pretty accurate. We were also there to help the Navy because they were undermanned.
Right.
So we did the same thing that their cutters were doing, boarding the vessels. We didn't have to share the job. Like, we didn't have to go with the Navy to board these vessels. We were alone. And that's what we're basically out there to do, is just help out.
You hear that, Navy? Coast Guard was helping you guys. Because we get a lot of flack. JT Suits, he does the Navy channel, and we always give each other crap, Coast Guard, Navy. You know, it's a natural thing. It's out of love. It's like, you know, it's you give your teammates a hard time and stuff. But, yeah, so the Coast Guard does help the Navy out, so I just want to point that out. But, yeah, well, so thanks. If you guys have any questions for Chief Warrant Officer Bouasym, post them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to reach out to her if you have questions specifically for her. And Mal, I just want to thank you again. And yeah, Semper Paratus, and may the force be with you.
Tell me what you really like. Baby, I can take my time. We don't ever have to fight. Just take it step by step. I can see it in your eyes.